The Lui Diaz Podcast.
Episode 60 with you.
With me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
There
yeah.
you go. Now it's my time to shine.
Now we're all. Oh, I didn't do a sound check. Oh,
No, I got all day.
get excited again.
I'm aggressively unemployed. Don't worry. I got nothing to do. Nowhere to be.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that actually, because you did say that you're unemployed, and I'm like, wow, there's just something liberating.
So brave.
Something liberating about it. I wouldn't say brave. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, there's.
That's a very Melbourne response to I'm unemployed. It's like, that's so brave and liberating. Everywhere else is like, get a job, you dickhead.
Yeah. Am I a little
wow.
too liberal? Was that too liberal?
I think you need to be more of a bad dad. Yeah, you need to be like, Joel, slap me around.
Well, if I was your dad, I'd be like, get a fucking job.
Yeah, that's what I have a joke about that where I'm like, my parents are too nice. They're too supportive. They're like, yeah, Joel, go to Deakin and then don't use the degree at all and then just live in our bungalow till you're almost 37 and it's more of a granny flat to be fair, but and then you just go to a podcast on a Saturday morning and I'm like, no, I needed a dad like my dad's dad who needed to be like, you're going to be a plumber, just slap me around and straighten me out,
Well, welcome to you. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming here. I'm sorry about the smell too, by the way.
Oh, look, I've been down Hosier Lane before. I'm accustomed to it. It's all good. It probably actually has classical conditioning where you get like the actual piss smell gives you positive, like, yeah, that takes me back, doesn't it? It's like when I remember a woman walking out of...
No, I don't know what you mean.
Well, I mean like when you, like I remember once where I used to work, I walked coming back into the building and a woman was having a smoko and she turned around the corner and she like blew out a cigarette right in my face and she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I was like, nah, you just brought back some great memories. That tobacco, I was just like, oh, it was beautiful. Like, it took me back to like, the 2010s, man.
Oh, yeah.
Heady days,
The
peak
2000s.
Temperley.
I remember. I was there. I used to work in hospitality before, they banned smoking. You used to walk into a pub and there'd just be smoke everywhere.
You just got to go to...
That'd be weird now.
Just go to Indonesia or China where it's just... The tobacco company's one, and it's just like...
Oh, did they? Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. And then you just come... Oh, it's so good. Like, there's a place in Sumatra where there's a road where each turn has, like, a cigarette company sponsorship on it. It's like, in Sumatra, this winding road down from a hill down to this lake, and every corner it's like just an ad for tobacco. No warnings.
That's like an old 90s Grand Prix track.
Yeah, it felt like
where
that.
It was like Marlboro everywhere.
It was very quaint. And I liked it. I liked it.
There's something about it that's kind of nostalgic, isn't it? Because like Western society used to be all about that, but then we've banned it here, but it's still alive somewhere else, and it's like you're stepping back in time a little bit.
Yeah, it's.
How are we talking about that?
I don't know. It's good. I'm just like, oh yeah, they're taking a. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah.
Mind if we bomb it?
Yeah. That's the moment where do people just watch or do they listen to this?
Oh, they can't really listen because the thing about us is like we can just talk at chill volume and hear each other because we've got headphones on.
Oh, yeah, that is
But
better.
because we're talking at chill volume, they can't hear us.
Oh, okay.
So if I took the headphones on and I was talking to you like this, because I got to project my voice past all the noise.
Yeah. So when I go on my Middle East rant, I should take the headphones off and really, from the diaphragm, really let it out. Okay,
Middle
cool.
East rant, yeah.
I don't know. David Rose was on the last episode. I gotta level up on him.
Well, yeah, you got big shoes to fill.
I know. When I saw David, he was on the what's the term for that thing?
Just a clapper.
The clapper. When I saw David Rose on the clapper previous episode, I'm like, fuck. I'm like.
Yeah,
I got big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll see further before I stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Nah, he's a funny guy.
How it's going to look on my analytics chart is his episode's going to be a spike.
I know, and then just like the tail collapsing in a cricket team. Just geez, what happened? They got into the tail and they can't bat. Yeah, cricket reference.
I have not done the sound on this very well. You're very good on the mic, by the way. You're very well mic.
Am?
Yeah, you're mic trained.
How so? In what sense?
I don't know. You're close to it. Sometimes I have a guest on and they're like, "Yeah, so you wouldn't believe what happened."
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, just talk into the mic.
Yeah, and don't want to break the flow.
You
like,
don't.
ironically,
Especially when they're animated like they are.
though ironically, you kind of broke the flow by, can I just compliment you on your mic
Yeah,
positioning?
I
But
did.
anyway, but yeah, you don't want to break the flow, but you're trying to tell them with their eyes, like, can you just look at the fucking. You're trying to do little. You don't want to. We got to pause. Yeah, you don't want to do that because then there's like this awkward cut where they're like real animated, and then suddenly they cut. Next scene, they're just like. Yeah. Anyway, it's like tough.
I just feel, I'm a bit flustered. I don't know if I got us positioned well, but I think we're good, yeah? I'm still trying to introduce this episode.
Shit. Okay, I'm bad.
No, not that you're bad. I'm just like, are we ready? I still feel like we're not ready yet. Oh, I'm going to put that little cap down.
I would love it if that was secretly the premise of the Lui Diaz show, which is just like constant, just getting set up, and then you hit record and that's the end. It's like, let me just hit record and end, the credits roll.
Yeah, I've done silly things before where I forgot to record the first 10 minutes of a chat.
I think that's just like the rite of passage. Like in comedy, you got to flub your line. You got to flub your lines. You've got to offend someone in the crowd. You've got to, rock up to a show, wait 3 hours, then get told we don't have time. You got to go through all that.
Really?
Oh yeah, I think.
Yeah, so we're introducing you, and welcome back to the audience, by the way, because I'm talking to you now. We're back here in Hosier Lane. Thanks for joining me here.
Oh yeah, totally.
The audience is used to this. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I love it. It's when I saw you do it here, I was probably going to reach out to you because I was like, that looks really cool. Like not to besmirch other pods that it's just you sort of sit down at their house and do it into their phone. I'm like, oh, this looks really sick. Like, yeah. And yeah, it's nice to do something fun in Hosier Lane apart from bumping into Japanese tourists and ruining their selfies. And
Well, we were part of the selfie before. I think
Yeah.
we are the selfie. But yeah, look, it's a good vibe, and thanks for coming here. Like it's a bit of effort to set all this up, as you witnessed. I did have to kick out some illicit drug users from the little bunker before.
Which drug do we know? All of the above.
I'm gonna say it was definitely weed in there, but I don't know what else was in that mix.
I was gonna say you just ask. It's like you gotta see what the drug is and be like, all right, you can stay. Like if he was really going all in, like if he had some heroin going and he could just let him sit there, he could be a prop.
Yeah.
Very Eric Andre show.
Mm.
Just like, who's that? Doesn't matter. Ignore him. It's cool.
Yeah,
We didn't.
I don't know if we can do that.
We didn't discuss the rules of engagement on the Louis Diaz show.
Oh, we didn't, did we?
We can say Can I swear? Can I say whatever I want?
You sure
Okay,
can.
I can.
You,
Good.
you can.
I'll say 90% of the people who walk down this lane don't understand what we're actually saying.
Well, they can't hear us.
No, that too. But even if they could, there's a lot of tourists.
The only people you're going to offend is the people listening online in about 3 weeks when I release this.
Oh, good. Okay, so what can we predict will happen in the next 3 weeks in the world?
An earthquake.
Can you believe that Trump did that earthquake? Can you believe that he got Elon Musk to invent that earthquake machine to widen the Panama Canal?
You know what? When people want to try and be controversial and predict the future, why does Trump come up?
Yeah, that was pretty
He has
hack.
hijacked.
You can just say
our
I'm a hack.
psyches.
It's fine.
I think he's the most entertaining.
Oh, I think he's hilarious, and I think it's
That's why he comes up in so many conversations.
Yeah,
like
and-
what you just did.
Yeah, Shane Gillis did the joke in his first special where he's like, people who say he's not funny are idiots. He's like, nothing funny about Trump, and he's like, are you serious? He just said, let's try and nuke the hurricane. That's hilarious. And every time I watch him, I laugh. And of course, that's part of the problem. But then again, I'm kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit too nihilistic these days, and I'm just like, well, what are you gonna do? He's in power. So laugh about it. I mean, that's the approach to most things, you know.
I agree. And I had this Buddhist meditation teacher on the show, like episode 17, Hector Marcel, very good guy, very funny guy. But he was explaining a little bit about how they learn to deal with trauma and sadness and stuff, and it is to laugh.
Yeah.
Like it's like a counteracting energy.
Yes.
That's what I love about comedy. Like I only sort of recently discovered comedy actually again. I only recently discovered the local stand-up scene, like maybe almost a year ago.
Okay.
I never really,
how? Like,
I've got a couple of clients that live in Footscray, and I was like, this could be a good opportunity to do a bit of bonding with these clients. I'll see what events are on in Footscray, and that night was was
it Footsloose at the Footscray Hotel?
it was
or?
it was at the old wine bar. They've shut it down and moved it to the African restaurant.
Oh, so it wasn't Jambo. It would have been
Just a bit further.
Abol Africa.
No,
Whatever.
no.
Anyway, it was a gig in Footscray.
And Sean
Folks-
Collier was there, and Igor.
Oh, Sean's hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Sean.
Sean's coming on after you, actually.
Oh,
and
I'll lower the bar for him. He's very funny.
he's a good guy.
Also, he's
too.
got that very dry New Zealand. He's like,
He does.
listen, man, I don't think I don't really give a shit. I'm butchering it, but he's I just like he's just one of those guys who's very funny. Just he doesn't have to try and be funny. He's just very you'll have fun chatting to him.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. He actually, it's going to be his third time on, but only his first time on camera because the first two we did was before I started filming.
I see. Okay.
But anyway, so I only recently discovered comedy, like the live stand-up, and I'm like, you know what? There's so much value here. Like, it's such a great escape from just reality to come to this, and just some of the stuff that they were talking about was so raw. I was like, people are still joking about this kind of stuff? Yes. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Comedy's like the last bastion of like free speech in society, free thinking. It just takes a lot of balls to do it.
Yeah. And
Or guts for those that don't have balls.
I think it's flaps. And I did that once at a gig. I said, actually, good story. At a gig, I was emceeing, and I said, it's so amazing. The thing I latched onto was that. But like, no, I did at a gig. I went like, it takes balls to do this. I'm like, oh, but hey, are there any ladies here? What would it be for ladies?
Yeah.
And a woman in the crowd just yelled out, flaps. And I was like, all right. But then the kicker is later on, a female comedian came and we were just hanging out in the sort of waiting area before. And I said, and there's someone on stage and they were kind of having a rough set, and I just whispered to her, and we're mates, but I just whispered to her, so I said, that takes flaps. But she hadn't been there for the initial joke, so she was just like, what? And I was like, oh yeah, you weren't here.
You had to be there.
You had to be here.
That's funny.
But it does. It's funny because one of the things you hear after a gig sometimes is like, you're so brave, and we hate that.
Really? People come up to you and say that you're brave?
Well, I think sometimes it's a bit of a backhander for you weren't that funny, but still I appreciate your bravery of getting up there. And I'm like, maybe I'm a bit bitter and cynical, but I'm like, I feel like you're telling me I could probably do that if I had a couple more drinks. And my mates say I'm funny, but you did it, so you're better. That's great. I'm like, I'd rather you just say you enjoyed the show or just don't talk to me.
I think, like after seeing some of your reels and stuff, because I haven't seen you live, unfortunately, just yet. But after seeing some of your reels and stuff, I think your bitterness and cynicism is one of your secret weapons.
Yeah, I think I agree. I actually agree with that, and it's hard to like. I'm still think I'm at the start of the, in the superhero movie, they have the first act where they're looking at the hands, going, "What is?" And I'm still in that sort of trying to learn how to the power,
and it's growing onto you, like Spider-Man or something, or like, Venom, or
whatever analogy.
Yeah. I get what you mean. I get what you mean.
But like, I got this power. It sounds so arrogant, but like, just like one gig, I'm like, whoosh, and you're like, oh wow, that was so cool what you did to the crowd, or what you said, that was cool, no one else was doing it. And then another gig, I'll go whoosh, and it's like, you ruined the show, bro. It's just too like, it's a good thing I've got, but it's like sometimes
that is a great analogy, because it's like when the superhero first discovers their power, sometimes they accidentally blow something up, right?
Yeah.
That's a great analogy. I like it.
It's just it's like I would be repeating the analogy. I was about to repeat the analogy. I'm like, no, you just be repeating it.
Yeah. It's like, I'll tell you what it's like. It's like when you discover your powers.
It's like when you're doing a podcast in Hosier Lane and there's a lot of tourists walking by wondering, what the fuck are these guys doing?
I know, it's confusing to a lot of them. They just don't know what to do.
I have that, like, it feels like, the Today Show, they have the, what's that?
Oh,
they got that. Yeah, they got the
They need
QR
to scan
code.
the QR code. Every single. I should draw a line.
Oh, watch out. You're about to code hanger a guy. How you doing? That was so funny. I was like, do I let it happen?
You should have.
That would have been funny. Joel was on the coat hanger episode. Joel was on the episode of the Lui Diaz show when he
accidentally punched a
guy.
homeless guy. Yeah, that wouldn't be cool.
And weirdly, everyone cheered. It was really problematic.
Like some of the characters in this laneway are sketchy as hell, but they've all been pretty nice. Pretty nice to me.
I think people are they're delightful.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
And I think we got to remember that, not to get too schmaltzy here, but I
Schmaltzy.
think, yeah, you got to, well, you know, everyone's a bit like, oh, there's a homeless person and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I think you got to be like, they're by the grace of God goes I. You know what I mean? There's no one's, you know, there's different types of homeless people, but I think most of them are just like, yeah, geez, I lost my job and shit just spiraled and here I am. It's not, you know.
Yeah.
And they're just trying, you know, it's tricky.
So much of life is luck, right? And then, you know, I think we're, you know, because of social media and stuff, we want to believe that like we make our own luck as well. But sometimes you're just given a hand, right?
Oh,
it's like poker. I like gambling. Let's just go there. No, it's like playing poker. You get dealt certain cards. You know, I was thinking about it the other day. I know some people that are, you know, working very hard to try and get their, you know, just a visa to work here and live here. And I'm like, man, we just got so, like some of us just got so lucky that we were just like born right there in that hospital, in that part of the world at that moment in time. And, you know, they weren't, you know.
I mean, it's,
Smaltzy. I was getting smaltzy there
it's
too.
100%. Like, I mean, like we talk about, sorry, I'm getting this. Hello. I'll get used to it. I saw she was smiling and I was like, hey.
She's cute though.
Yeah, she can smile.
Yeah.
She's allowed to.
Yeah.
The guy you're about to coat hanger, don't coat hanger her. She can stay. But basically, the thing is, you think, you know, it's refreshing to go like, hey, you got it pretty good. You'd be grateful. But then on the other hand, you know how you have like when you have those people who whinge and moan about, this coffee's too hot or too cold, and there's too much piss on Hosier Lane, and there's this and that, and then someone goes, excuse me, there are people starving in Eritrea, and you're like, dude, does that really? I'll keep going. I won't lose momentum. Get the photo for the Instagram. But do you want me to smile? This is the most I've ever smiled, actually. This really does not reflect who I am as a person.
It's very weird seeing you smile, by the way. It's bizarre.
Well, I'll just finish the
I'm
thought.
like, are you the same guy?
Yeah.
Go on.
But no. But basically, I just like, it's just like, you know, you hate those people who like, you can't complain about anything, you know? It's like the train was like, well, there's children starving in Africa. And I'm like, well, but my train's late. Yeah. So, like, okay. Like, can I not be angry about... I'm angry about one thing. I have to be angry about everything.
Yeah.
And just... That also annoys me. So
it's interesting, that point, because there's a lot of people that want to sort of... For me, it's like there's a sphere of consciousness, right? There's me here now, my brain, my mind, everything's fixated on this conversation with you and the girl in the pink over there and this person over here who's taking a photo.
I sensed her. I don't even... That's how evolved I am. I'm like, you know...
But mostly I'm right here, and then... What else have I got? I've got the weather here, so I'm kind of worried about, you know, or I'm kind of aware of what's going on here with the weather and that it's daylight and that there's people around. And then, you know, maybe broader what might be happening in Melbourne today. But the sphere of consciousness ends there. I can't be concerned with what's going on in Osaka, Japan right now. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure that there's good things happening there and terrible stuff happening there. I don't know why I'm getting smaltzy.
No, but it's good. I
just
know.
don't think
I don't know,
it's realistic.
But then someone will tell you like, and I'm not arguing for this. I'm just saying. Then people will go like, well, that's the problem. You should care. And if we all cared, and it's like, I guess, you know. But
how do you choose what to care for? You know what I mean?
It's like all I can do is look after, like you said, the sphere.
Yeah.
And then you look after your sphere. And it's weird because that's kind of like pretty individualistic in a way, in a funny kind of way. I don't know. Like I guess we are really getting philosophical here.
We are.
Can you get that Hector fellow back on? He needs to. Can you?
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It's fun. I took us there, by the way. I think you were going to say something funny.
No, I just like how the only way to care about others is kind of, you sort of arrive at the conclusion. The only way to care about the wider world is to care about that sort of circle that's close to you, which is actually weirdly individual. You sort of got to be an individual to care for the collective. I don't know enough about this sort of stuff to really... I'm sure there's like if a philosophy professor was listening, they'd be like, dude, shut up. But like, you know, I don't know.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just don't know if we've got the educated vocabulary and to be able to articulate what we're trying to say. But I think people get it. You know what I mean? Like, look after yourself, your health, your circle, and those around you. And if everyone did that, then the world would be okay. Right?
What gesture did that little girl just make?
Did she just give us the finger? I hope she did.
Young lady.
No. Kids these days are very camera aware, they're just cool. I think kids these days are cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
not ones in their early 20s. Those kids
Are they
annoy the
still
shit out of
kids?
me. Well, they are. I mean, I have to. I'm 37 in like a month or two.
Shit, how does
And-
that feel?
I don't know. It not as bad as I thought it would if you asked me that at 25.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably am. I see photos of myself when I was early 20s, mid 20s, and I gotta say, like, you know, I was drinking a lot. I still drink, but I was drinking a lot, and I had like this sort of, you know, freaking romper stomper, bloody crew cut, like just the short hair, but not too short, boring shit. You know,
Yeah.
just like a, you know, that kind of boring hair. And I look pudgy and shit, and I look and feel probably the best I've felt. And I'm, you know, if you told me that at 25, no, 37 almost, you'll feel like, you know, you figured it out. But it's true. You sort of, it sounds a cliche, but you sort of go, yeah, you kind of, you know, you do things wiser.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like you party wiser a little bit. You're like, maybe I won't have another pint. I don't know. Maybe I'm.
You just can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's not
Well,
wisdom. It's just reality. It's
Yeah.
biology.
At 29, I went out to watch a soccer game at a pub, and I had a pint. And the next morning, I was 1 pint,
Yeah.
or maybe 2.
29.
29, and just the headache, and that, you know, I was on a bit of a more general health kick. My girlfriend and I, we were trying, like, we went vegan and all this shit, and we just thought, let's just give up alcohol. We almost went straight edge for like 6 months, and it was pretty. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. It was pretty. I had a lot of mood swings and shit.
Ooh.
Looking back, it was a bit. I was very skinny. I got very skinny, but it was.
What's changed?
Am I still? Do people still think I'm skinny?
I don't know.
People say that. People. I don't know. I think I'm a. I think sometimes. Some people say you look like a bag of shit, and some people say you look great. I don't know where I am. It's like this crazy. I don't know what I am, if I'm good looking or rubbish. Not for me to say.
It doesn't matter anyway, does it? Does it matter?
Not. Well,
Like, you just got given this hand. That's it. You just got to deal with it.
But it kind of goes back to what I'm saying when now I'm almost 37. It's like I'm just sort of who gives a shit. You know, I'm not at the bar or club trying to look good. I'm like, this is me. I don't give a shit. This is me.
Yes, there's a new phase. There's a new phase that you enter into where you stop caring so much about what other people think of you and or like, you know, trying to impress people.
You kind of have to accept because they're just by default not really impressed.
Yeah.
You know, you're like almost invisible.
You're not like when we're in our early 20s, we're kind of attractive, you know, like we're sort of glowing a bit. We're not sort of
True.
tainted by all the hangovers yet.
Maybe not necessarily physically, but also just in terms of attitude. You have this swagger.
Exactly.
Like,
Enthusiasm.
I look at that those photos of me from my mid-20s and I go, damn, I don't look that good. But I remember going out to the... What? I didn't hear that.
I said jaded. I don't look that jaded.
Well, I don't look as jaded as I do now. I'm impressively jaded now. But I look at myself back then, I'm like, I was at bars and, you know, doing things, having a good time, you know what I mean? And I'm like, but I look like, I didn't look good. But then it was probably the attitude. It was the swagger of me at the bar. And, you know, like I was like, look at me, I'm party animal. And now I look all right, but I'm a bit more like, I'll just have this chamomile tea and go home and read.
I think there could be like a new type of swagger that you develop when, you know, you're in your mid to late 30s. You can.
Well, it's just you don't give as much of a shit.
Yeah.
You give less and less of a shit, and you sort of become... I think the bitterness might actually have a positive effect. Oh, dear.
You know what? We're 29 minutes in, and I feel like we never really got on to a few things.
Okay.
Because I don't want to change the subject.
Yeah. No, do it.
But
man.
you spoke about this at the beginning, that you're unemployed, which technically means
Louis,
that you're...
come on, man. What are you doing to me now?
I'm sorry. Well, you know, like...
I'm between jobs.
It's between jobs. Okay. You're between jobs. You said unemployed. And I think you said...
Joel, please.
I think you described it in some way. I can't remember. I'll have to run it back. But anyway, you were talking about that, and you do stand-up comedy. You're a stand-up comedian. Hi. It's okay.
Sí, claro. Right? Yeah. When I said sí, claro, I was like, please don't be Portuguese. Please don't be Portuguese.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
I just tried.
No, but it was like a real roll of the dice there with the Latinos because they might be Portuguese
That's
or
true.
Brazilian. And like, I am Brazilian. And you're like, I'm sorry. It's funny, if you do that with them, generally they're like, I'm Brazilian. You do that, you see a Vietnamese person, you go, Ni hao, like,
I love some of your stand-up about that kind of stuff. But anyway.
But go back to me being unemployed. Yeah.
No, well, I guess, I want to go back because we're talking about our 20s, we're talking about the change, we're talking about all of these things, and I want to tie it all together and talk about like you'd spoken about having done a degree or something. So
Yeah.
like, where did all this begin for you? Like, where did you get started with comedy? And like, what's been the sort of journey so
Well,
far?
I got the degree. I got a Bachelor of Economics or Commerce or whatever from Deakin.
You got to be smart to do that.
Deakin.
That doesn't surprise me.
And I
Not
said Deakin. I didn't say
Okay.
Melbourne or Monash or
Okay.
the other good ones. I said Deakin.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's an ad for Deakin.
Deakin's
Sponsor
alright.
us, Deakin.
Well, but yeah, give us money and we won't talk shit about you, Deakin. How about that? That's an old. That's a joke from an old podcast that they'd shit on a major corporation, go give us money, and we'll stop shitting on you. But got that degree. You know, I was into that, like how shit works. I guess still am, I guess, to some degree.
Yeah.
But then I worked for the in the public service at the ACCC. They're like they bet the one when fuel prices go up, you whinge to them.
Right.
Everyone's like, why are fuel prices going up?
Australian
I'll go for it. Try.
consumer
Close.
customer.
Ooh. You're basically there.
Can I say?
Well, it's your show.
I don't know. How can there be 3 C's in a row?
Well, the last C, let's not dwell on this, but the last C is what it is, like the commission.
Commission.
Yeah, the last letter is always like what it is as an entity.
Yeah.
Competition and Consumer Commission.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you work there.
I worked there, and I did 4 years there. I say I did 4 years like it was jail.
I did my
Guess
time.
It was for the last year, I guess. But
I did 4 years in a call center.
yeah, I did 4 years with a public service. Actually, you know what? One of my first job tasks there was I was working in the fuel department, and I was going through the complaints that the call center for the ACCC would get about service stations. And then I went very shiny suit for this time of morning.
Yeah.
Are we getting that?
Impressive. Yeah.
I noticed it while I was chilling out before the pod.
We're getting that.
That's shiny.
Well dressed, man.
Very warm. Going to be a warm day for it. Anyway, and I went through the spreadsheet with Joel. It was like I was an intern or some shit. Like, hey, you got to go through busy work. You know, go through the complaints, categorize and do a report for us. Tell us what people are moaning about. And some of the complaints were good. Some of it was like, okay, the fuel gauge said 180, but when I paid it was 185. It was a mismatch.
Okay.
There were legit ones, like the price board was wrong. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
But then some were like I went in and I used the bathroom at the 7-Eleven and the toilet was not clean. And I'm like, bro. And then the amount of complaints that started with the race of the cashier was like, went in to complain, and an Indian guy. And I'm like, firstly, some of them are Bangladeshi. Secondly, we know they're Indian. It's the 7-Eleven. And I'm kidding. So cut that. And then Louis sweating. And then
I'm not.
stop trying to outdo David Rose, Joel. You can't outdo the GOAT. But basically, I was just amazed at some of the complaints. It was just like what people complained about a service station. I was like, yeah, there wasn't a urinal cake in the toilet when I begged the guy to use the toilet.
Right.
And I'm like, this is insane. What people complain about is insane.
That would drive one to be a bit cynical and bitter or whatever.
Yeah, maybe that's sowed some
when
seeds.
you work in a call center or something, like you're like, how do people have time for this shit? How do they have time to complain about this shit?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with some
You
people?
should be calling to compliment the servo that he let you use the staff toilet. You should be saying, thank you for letting us use this toilet.
Yeah.
You honor me. But probably the jaded thing was just the public service in general. Because, look, hey, it's just not my cup of tea. It is other people's. But, I was dealing with shit. Like, we need to find the ideal price for a cubic ton of concrete because they're making a new water pipeline in New South Wales. And I'm just like, this is making me bored as fuck.
Yeah.
And I wanted to travel, and that way I wanted to travel, and I was like, I wanted to travel longer term, and the best way to do that was to get a job overseas. And I became an English teacher to second language learners.
Okay.
And I went to China.
What's that called again? I've got that.
TESOL?
Yeah, TESOL.
CELTA.
Yeah.
You have one.
Yeah, I've got one.
Everyone's got one.
Yeah.
You just wake up with one.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I got one, I was like thinking the same.
It was when I did that, I realized how little I actually know about English.
Yeah, it is.
I was like, what is all this grammar stuff I've never heard of?
When they drop the textbook in front of you, especially when you're teaching adults, you have to actually study yourself. You're like, I need to get across this.
What is a participle? What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Before I went, I actually downloaded a book onto my Kindle that was like a grammar book, and I was actually blown away by the stuff. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Oh, is that how? That's why we. Oh, by the way, some of those participle,
Yeah.
some of those words we use to describe certain things in the English language is insane.
Yeah.
It's so scary. It's like
It is.
today we're going to learn about adverbial clauses,
Yeah.
and I have to break down to the class like what an adverb is and
Yeah.
what a clause is, and I have to tell them firstly, just relax.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Going back to like the hoops that migrants need to jump through to come to Australia.
And then
right?
you hear actual Australians speak English, and you're like, dude.
Darn. That's what Dave did last week. Anyway,
Yeah.
they used to have to do the test, like the test to
English proficiency
No,
or something.
it wasn't just that. It was like a citizenship test.
Oh, my girlfriend did that. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like, you have to know Don Bradman's average. and
Exactly. Oh,
She had to
exactly.
learn how many boats were in the first fleet.
How many? Was there 7?
11. Fuck. 7-11. But basically, callback.
I would have failed.
Well,
Are they going to deport me back to Venezuela?
if only.
I know Don Bradman though.
Oh, yeah. What's the average?
99.94.
Yeah. Said with all the confidence of a true Australian.
Four?
Yeah, actually, you
Or
nailed
6.
it. 4? No, 99.94.
Oh, yeah.
Famously out for a duck in his last innings. Only needed four runs to get to 100 average.
Oh man,
Imagine that. Like
that's God. That's God going.
yeah.
I almost made you perfect, but you're not gonna be perfect.
Oh, is Lui Diaz doing Trump a recurring character on the Lui
don't
Diaz
know.
show? I love that.
I don't know. It just felt right. I was like, what's
99.94.
what's God's voice?
If it was me out there, I would have got the 4 runs. I would have got the 100 average. I walked out there and I said, I don't know what this sport is. It kind of looks like gay baseball.
Cricket.
It's like baseball, but we've come up. You drink tea at 3 p.m. Trump actually kind of does sound like sort of a. He's very sort of. He's a bit effeminate. He's got. You know. Do you remember? Do you remember? Yeah. Very like. He sounds kind of like a sassy old gay fashion designer. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like.
So
it.
true.
People always do it because Alec Baldwin was the first guy to impersonate. And you're doing but like.
If he wore a scarf,
Yeah, he could. Actually, it's funny. This is how obsessed I am with the guy. I was looking up what Trump would look like without the tan and the comb over. Looks actually alright.
he looks normal.
I reckon he would be more powerful if you look it up. He just looks like he's got
More
like the.
powerful. I don't
He
know.
looks kind of like he has a sort of a Dick Cheney, sort of the white here and the
Ah.
bald there. He just look.
Ominous.
Yeah, maybe everything stage manages. Obviously, it'd be weird if he changed now. But
yeah, we're going on a tangent though.
Yes.
Because
I love tangents.
yeah, me too. This is going to be the tangent episode. But yeah. So then you did the TEFL thing.
I was just gonna say
Where'd you move to? Was it China?
Tangents. I specialize in tangents.
Yeah.
I moved to Beijing,
Beijing.
and
Why did
everyone
you?
says Beijing in Australia. It's Beijing.
Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Don't be racist.
Sorry,
Against
I didn't mean to
Australians.
offend Costa Ricans or wherever the fuck you're from. Anyway,
Okay, so why did you choose Beijing?
that was the first job that popped up, and I was busy. Actually, I was going to go to South America. I was going to go to Colombia, because of the culture, and I was going to go there. Actually, no, I'd been to Central America. I'd been to Nicaragua and Guatemala and Mexico, even though that's not Central America. But I'd been on that area, and I really liked it. I learned a bit of Spanish, and I was keen to go back. Then the guy I did the TESOL, CELTA, whatever with, he was like, we got an opportunity in Beijing. You want it? And I'm like, I could spend all this time umming and ahhing, or I could just jump in on that. And I thought the whole point was to see another part of the world. So I just went,
Yeah.
Beijing, China.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Because we've gone on tangents. I'm just going to get the audience back up to speed.
Oh.
Maybe just myself.
Okay.
So you studied economics and commerce at Deakin. Then you got a job with the ACCC. Then you got a bit over that and decided that you wanted to travel more. You did your TEFL or whatever,
Yeah.
TESOL, whatever, the
Yeah.
hard English course.
Yeah.
And then now you're in China. Now
Yeah.
you've made the move.
In China.
I love that, man.
It was pretty cool.
I fucking love that.
I honestly,
Mm.
6 months didn't like China, and I couldn't wait to wrap it up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've landed in China. What are your expectations? Do you remember what your expectations were? Like, what were you hoping for? Or what were you?
Honestly, the goal was something else, and I'd achieved that by going there. And probably there was a little bit initially of like, that sort of the nightmare of getting everything you want. It's like, well, Joel, they gave you a redundancy package. You were able to go overseas, and here you are. And I'm sort of just sitting in this apartment going, okay. And, the job's pretty easy. Just A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. That's a giraffe. That's a lion. Clap, clap, clap.
Okay.
And
then,
yeah.
but I guess you go over there to not just do the job, but to have a cultural experience.
Yeah. I mean, I think 6 months in, I was like, what I actually honestly had no interest in it at all. I was tired of it. I think there was a moment where I went to a convenience store trying to find tea, like black English breakfast tea.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to say cha, which is tea in China,
Okay.
but I kept saying it in the wrong tone, and it was just this I was like cha, and they're like cha, and eventually I went cha, and I went cha, and they gave me some like, and then they gave me this bag of like leaf green tea, and I'm like, I hate this country so much, and then and I was like, I hate it, and Beijing's miserable in the winter, it's grey and cold, but then I met my girlfriend in Beijing. She worked at the same school as me, and she actually she's not Chinese, she's Russian, but she could speak fluent Mandarin, and we were hanging out, and she kind of opened my eyes to, and then I left Beijing. I went on holiday to the south of China, and you realize, I didn't hate China. I hated this big, awful, gross city.
Right.
And Beijing's all right, don't get me wrong, but I was like, it's just a big city of 20 million people, and I just was like, ugh. And you get out of there, and I'm like, oh, this is an amazing place.
Yeah. Interesting.
And it 180 flip. I'd love to, and we did eventually. I did go back.
Yeah. It's like when tourists come to Melbourne, they're like, I love Australia. Just landed in Australia. Love it. I'm like, well, you're in Melbourne. Like, like just go out to Shepparton and then
and get back.
Come
to
back.
Yeah. Go up to Broadmeadows or go to St Kilda at 11 p.m. Fitzroy, not to Fitzroy Street.
Yeah.
7-Eleven out the front.
Yeah, like it's a very general, broad thing to to go to one place and then just sort of go like, well, this is my experience of the country.
Yeah, I've probably done that where it's like you go to Germany and you're like, I love Germany, and it's like, what'd you do? I went to the Irish pub in Berlin 5 nights in a row, and then went to bed drunk.
You said that you were going to say that your girlfriend opened your eyes to something though, and then you kind of just.
Well, she opened my eyes to China because she could speak and read Chinese. So suddenly it's like when Neo at the end of the first Matrix, the ones and zeros. She was like, oh, look here, it's a sale. This is on special. Oh, look. And she's telling me like these people like, oh, it was gibberish. And I'm like, oh, they're just chatting about the weather.
I completely took for granted. I just thought automatically that you must have known some Chinese to go over there.
I knew some phrases, but it helps a little. But the irony of working in China, you must pick up some of the language. But the irony is working in an English school, they're like, we hired you because you can't speak Chinese. We want full immersion. We don't want any Chinese in this school.
I would love to do that. Try that out.
Well, you can. You've got the big qualification.
Yeah. Look,
you're in,
you
baby.
know how I passed?
Okay.
I did the multiple choice test like 20 times. And I was writing down the answers every single time. And then whenever I got one wrong, I was like, okay, don't choose that one again. That's how I passed it.
I see.
I flunked the hell out of that.
Yeah.
I got my TEFL certificate out of a breakfast cereal.
Yeah, I mean, the company...
No, that's not true.
Well, I mean, I know what you mean, though. The company I did it with, I enjoyed it, and they gave me some good insights, but I think they went under. I think it was just one of these training
things, yeah.
Training organizations that pop up and,
take money.
It seems a little shady, and you're sort of going into the class going like, is this legit? I don't know, but they teed me up with that job.
Yeah, nice.
But speaking of multiple choice, my girlfriend, born in Russia, she got into a university in China by doing a multiple choice. She had to pass an English proficiency test, and she's like, I can't speak much English. I'll just try and roll the dice on this test. And a lot of it was multiple choice, and she just went C, 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 C. She passed.
You're kidding.
And that's how she got into a Chinese university, and that's how, ball rolling, she ended up in Beijing, and that's where we met.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Are you still together?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. What a love story.
Despite all this.
No, that wasn't a judgy question. I was just curious because I'm thinking about like you're in your mid-20s by this point.
Yeah.
Are you?
2015. So 27.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been so you guys have been together a while. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And you met there. I
Yeah.
love those kinds of stories
Yeah,
where
well,
people meet kind of just by chance of I've got crossing
Mm-hmm.
paths that you're like definitely needles needed to be threaded in
Yeah.
order for you both to get there.
Yeah. 100%.
I love those stories.
And we were like the first 4. We hung out in China, and then we traveled in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, and then we went to Moscow, and then we lived there, and that was fascinating.
No way. What was that like?
It was great. We had to work our butts off though. Like
Yep.
we didn't get to experience Moscow as much as I'd like because we were just constantly like filling the schedule with English. We were both. Well, she was teaching Chinese there,
Yeah. Okay.
and I was teaching English, and we were just almost overbooking my week because
Yep.
I knew I'll just book 2 classes at this time on Friday, and one of them will cancel. And if they just fill it up because I was a what do you call it, independent contractor. So
Yeah,
if the
okay.
class didn't happen, I didn't make money. So had to do it. So I was just always in the Moscow subway. I knew the Moscow subway like the back of my hand. It was fun.
Yeah. Right.
I was like a pretty true local there in the end. But yeah, it's surreal to think I lived in Moscow. Sorry, it sounds a bit douchey to say, but it's amazing that I lived in Moscow. But now, given the way the world's sort of changed,
Yeah.
to think, oh yeah, I lived in Moscow for a year.
Yeah, I think like the thread that I'm kind of trying to take us down is like just kind of unearthing all of this like life experience that you
Yeah.
have because you're obviously a stand-up comedian. Okay, people know that by now, and there's elements to your comedy. Great, I want to talk about all that, but like what sort of builds, what makes the person, what do they have in their experience kit that sort of gives them the sort of tools or I don't know, the courage or whatever it is to go, I think I've seen enough. And you know what? This is something that I find hilarious about the world. I don't think that you necessarily need to have a lot of life experience to do comedy, but I'm just like, what is the experiences that shape us? And I think travel's a big one.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is that you've done a lot of it.
Yeah. I've been around.
Because I've seen some of your comedy and it's like there's definitely cultural elements to it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll let the audience, dive deeper into you to figure that out.
That'd be cool.
But I'm like, yeah, where does this come from? Because like some people could look at you and go, maybe some of that comes from ignorance. But what I'm learning about you is like you're far from ignorant. You've experienced more
I see what you mean,
cultural
yeah.
immersion.
Because like some of the jokes I do might be like, oh, this is an ignorant guy, but it's actually comes out of the opposite of that. It's like, no, I've just seen it all, and we're all the same kind of thing. Yeah, that's the way I'd say it. Like that's like it comes from a place of like,
I actually love that how you phrased it.
yeah,
just
we're all
there.
yeah. My vision for the world is not we're all holding hands doing a little dance. My vision is we're all shitting on each other and going like, like
Actually, that's similar to my vision. I love that you said that.
Yeah.
That's so, I love that. One of the things I was thinking about recently along this thread was like, okay, if we're going to heal this planet, like if things are going to change, like someone needs to be able to do 3 things. I forgot what one of those 3 things, but 2 of those 3 things was to be able to laugh at themselves and to be able to laugh at other people.
Yeah.
But not in a malicious way.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
And I think if you're missing one of those 2 elements, like if you can't laugh at yourself, you're a douche. Okay?
Yeah.
If you can't laugh at other people in a non-malicious way, well, you're a douche. But I think, like part of it is coming back to your point, like if we just shit on each other a little bit and like, give each other elbow, I think we build greater camaraderie and like we build stronger bonds with each other. Don't you think?
Yes, and I think the
I don't know.
the retort to that people often say is, well, I'm a white guy, we can't shit on anyone because we're in a position of privilege. And I'm like, that's a very funny way to admit that you don't have many minority friends, because if you hang out with them, they shit on us all the time. They're like, we've got the stereotype where, the white guy's always on time. We do have stereotypes too that they shit on us for. So it's not like we're not sitting on some ivory tower white throne going, ha 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 ha. No, we are. We all shit on each otherable.
Funny that you say that, because I'm like, you walk around Melbourne and some people here are like, oh, Australians are so racist. The Aussies are saying this. Like, white Aussies are saying this. Aussies are so racist. Oh, like we're so, our society's so, I'm thinking, hang on. like last time I checked, you could go to any country and they'll shit on like their neighbour.
Yeah, that's
you know,
very-
like
yeah.
what like this isn't real racism, but like Australians like to give it to Kiwis and vice versa.
Mm.
But like India's got that with country. I can tell you probably Spain has that. I'd tell you like
Yeah.
Peru probably has that. Like there's just like, you know,
I remember I was in Vietnam. Sorry, all these stories sound so douchey. I was in Vietnam. But basically it was the hostel owner, and I was like, oh, isn't it great, Vietnam? It's such a cool location. You got like, so much places to travel to in Vietnam. And then just to the north, right, it's just there, you got China. And he stopped eating his noodles. He was just like, China? And I'm like, yeah, China. And he's like, and he just starts shaking his head. He's like, no. And I was like, you mean like, no, it's, did I misread the map? It's not just, just there? Or what do you mean? He's like, just China. No. And I was like, wow, all right. Yeah. But the thing is, we go like, oh my God. But they had a conflict in the late 70s. So they're, we
Yeah.
think it's kind of, that is our laziness
Yeah.
going like, oh, come on, you all look alike. You must all get along. It's like, no,
Wow.
they've all fought wars against each other.
yeah,
So.
there's a lack of education that's behind a lot of this ignorance that, every other country, but, Australia seems to get along really well. Why is it that we're the racist ones? This rhetoric around that kind of, it gets tiresome. Because I'm like, no, the world is a place of communities that have a lot of history. Fist pumps.
Yeah, there we go.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Doubles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I like it. Bang.
wow.
Oh, did you get me? What does it mean? What does that
Oh,
mean?
jeez.
Snowman? What do I do? Freeze?
No, it's like you create a
Oh, like that.
What about Cole Palmer?
being-
You know that one? You know that one?
I'm
Yeah.
being taught how to fist pump on the
That
podcast.
one. Yeah.
I like
I
your
don't know.
top too. It kind of looks like Spider-Man. Can we do we
don't
still
like-
do high fives? Yeah, that's good. High five. I'm old school.
Or can we still do high fives, or is the woke elite's taking that from us as well? Oh, damn.
Is this a secret handshake? I failed.
See-
I failed the secret handshake
See, that's
test.
that. You know what? That is a thing that black guys make fun of me for. They're like the white guy going in for the hand, like, hello, how are you? And they're all like, they're doing the whole thing, and I'm like, yeah, haha. I'm like, hello to you, sir. Like, I'm like, yeah, remember? Yeah, anyway, sorry, tangent.
No. Okay, yeah, tangents. I love the tangents that we've gone on.
I love tangerines. No, I'm kidding. I'm fucking kidding.
Okay. So I think I
We're
think
talking about
let's go
ignorance.
back to Russia.
Yes.
Okay, so
No one said that in the last couple of years, but
That's so true. Hi to my one Russian friend Daria, by the way. She is
shout out.
a good special human and a babe. She
Oh, yeah?
covers she ticks all the boxes.
She's a хорошая женщина. That's
What does that mean?
good woman.
Yeah, yep, 100%.
Just showing off. I don't know.
Say it again.
Хорошая женщина. Sounds funny because it's hora, but хорошо is good.
Хорошая
Женщина.
женщина.
Yeah, женщина. Yeah.
Hi to all my Russian listeners.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing okay over there in
yeah.
St. Pete.
Hanging in there. Shout out to your Katteringburg. You know, like. Yeah, it's just another city. It's where the Romanovs got murdered. Fun fact.
Kamchatka.
There's a fun fact. Kamchatka. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
that's
a surf film called Kamchatka.
right. They is that the one where they had trouble getting in?
Yeah.
Yes, my girlfriend was talking about that because it's a kind of military. They're sort of
Yeah.
a bit sus on people there because it's kind of in that part of the world that's,
It's-
what do you call it? Right next to America, kind of thing.
Uh,
Well, Japan, America. It's
China. I don't know.
yeah. It's just
It's like in the north of Russia. like
Strategically, it's an
way-
important area for China because it's like right in that. Is it Asia? Is it Japan's
Yeah.
just there and it's a bit kind of thing.
We're taking people on a geographical journey
Yeah,
on this
I know.
podcast.
We're so worldly. But yeah, Russia, Moscow. It's interesting you made the point before about people coming to Melbourne and making an assumption about the whole country.
Yeah.
You go to Moscow. I'm like, yeah, I've been to Russia. I lived in Moscow. A Russian will be like, you didn't go to Russia.
Yeah. Okay.
You went to Moscow,
Yeah.
which is just like another, like a Beijing. It's like another
yeah.
big cosmopolitan metropolis that is very unreflective of the rest of the country.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. It's like if you go to certain cities in Europe, you're
Mm.
like, oh, this is a European city.
Mhm.
And then you'll go to another city in that same country and you'll be like, this is an authentic city of this country.
Yeah.
Like, like Italy's like that. If you go
Mm.
to Milan, it's very European, But if
Yeah.
you go to even Florence, even Florence or Firenze, you know, is quite Italian.
Fiorentina. Is
Yeah.
it Fiorent? Is that?
Firenze, I think. I don't know.
Sorry to our Italian listeners, specifically from Tuscany. Sorry, but what's Italian?
Anyway,
whatever.
we're going back. So take us back to what happened after Russia then. What happened then?
Well, it's interesting you talked about what sort of drives and what makes you do things. That was an interesting time because we went back to Russia because Lana needed to go back for family reasons, and I said I'll come with you. And then it was kind of like, what are we doing next? And it was like, let's go back to China to make some more money, but let's not go back to Beijing. Let's go to Chengdu. You know Chengdu?
I've heard of Chengdu.
Yeah, not a lot of people haven't, but it's sort of one of those. It's one of those. What's Chengdu? It's like it's massive. There's like 10 million people there. It's where the pandas are, basically,
Right.
and sort of the gateway to Tibet. It's like you go there, start your Tibet tour. It's sort of. Well, it's actually interesting. It's either depends on your political views. It's either in the center of China, or it's in the south west of China. If you include Tibet, if you don't include Tibet, that kind of hinges on that. I've had a
Yeah.
couple of awkward chats with Chinese people. Like, it's in the center of China. I'm like, is it though?
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, we went back there, and you know what? Day one, I got back there in March 2018 to Chengdu. I'd been there before on my travels, and I kind of like, that's kind of a chill place. It was big, but not too big. Kind of a nice balance between pretty Chinesey culture, but also Western enough. You don't feel like a total fish out of water. You can still go to a Starbucks kind of thing if you want. Day one of the job, I was back teaching kids, and I remember calling Lana and just being like, I can't do this. Day one, I was like almost in tears. I was in tears. I was like, what have we done? Like, and she hadn't arrived yet. She was still prepping to
hang
come.
on. What have I missed?
Well, it's teaching children in these like after school training centers. These like so basically
After school training.
so they go to primary school or whatever
all day.
Yeah, and then after school they go to like a class. It's like a private
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
And that's where I was working.
But what's heart-wrenching about it?
I just don't like teaching kids
Ah,
at all.
yeah.
Like I like when they're too young, anything below 7, and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's
just tough.
summer. Yeah.
Is it because they're distracted, or is it because
yeah, it's just a little bit. It's just very low hanging fruit for me. I enjoy teaching adults grammar. I actually do. I like, yeah, let's talk about conditionals and participles. I actually can help with that. But then when it's just, some people get a real kick out of watching it, the development of a child. I'm just like, oh, wow, they've, you know, like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Like, oh, he can say the alphabet now. I'm like, whoop-de-doo. And I know that sounds very...
Yeah, children learn really quickly as well, don't they? Or as
Yeah,
adults,
they're
it's probably a bit more of a
sponges.
challenge.
It just feels like you're watching a sponge accumulate water. It's not like when
Yeah,
you're learning with an adult and you're kind of like,
You can see progress.
I see the progress, I see the frustration because it's harder to learn as an
Yeah,
adult,
yeah,
and I see them have those moments of, I get it, and you have a bit more, hard to vibe with a kid. They sort of just learn by accident.
Yeah.
They're just like,
Yeah.
and then one day they start speaking what you taught them, and it's like,
Yeah.
I just didn't do it for me. Did not for me. And so I was teaching these kids. I was holding up flashcards with different animals and
Yeah.
like, where did the giraffe go? And I'm like, I want to kill myself. Where's the gun? It was tough.
Yeah. Trigger warning for anyone that just heard that. But
Really?
yeah.
Okay,
No.
well, Trigger
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I'll do. There we go.
Oh.
There we go.
Ooh,
Cut. You'll just cut it all out. Whatever. I don't know.
No, I won't. I barely cut this.
This is
I-
David
I-
Rose's fault for putting pressure on me to be edgy.
That guy's so edgy, man. But he's
Way edgier than you, Joel. Anyway. But look.
all right.
Focus.
So now you've gone. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to maintain a narrative here because
I know,
I can
and
tell
I'm
you and I
fucking that
both
up.
like tangents. We both love tangents.
Tangents, but you are aware of your love of tangents. You're in the final act of your superhero film. You're a tangent man. You
Tangent
understand
man.
it. I'm still learning. You know, I'm like, you're like Morpheus to my Neo, like learning about tangents. It's like,
You think that's air you're breathing?
no, it's a tangerine you're eating. All right, I don't know.
Okay, yeah. So
So-
then you couldn't
yeah.
do this anymore. That's it. I'm cooked.
But necessity, I'd already signed a contract. I'm in Chengdu, and Lana came.
Can't you
and-
run
and-
away?
Yeah, but Lana had we had plans, and we had an apartment there, and I was like, we're doing this for now.
Yeah.
Ended up being there for a year and a half because Chengdu is a really nice part of the world, and Yunnan province, south of China, Sichuan province. It's really nice. Every Chinese person you bring up Chengdu, they'll be like, oh, Chengdu, very nice. You know, trigger warning for the accent, sorry. But that's how they sound.
Yeah, accents. Yeah.
Well, I realized
Accents are cool.
it's funny when you do the accent in the language, it's not racist.
Yeah,
Ever noticed that?
I saw your reel about that, and it's so true.
It's very true. It's very
Yeah.
true. I go, "Ni hao ma." They're like, "Whoa." I go, "Hello." They're like, "What the hell, bro? Get out of Melbourne, Nam." But basically we did that a year and a half,
I
and
love it.
then it got a little hectic in terms of Lana's. Her situation was a bit in terms of work.
Yep.
It was a little. I don't want to go into too much detail there, but she was like, "We got to get out of here," and I'm like, "Okay." I'd started comedy in China there.
Yeah.
That's where I'd started. So at the time, I was like, "Oh, I'm kind of developing something here comedically in China. Like I reckon I could become something here in China as a comedian."
You started in China.
Yeah.
In English or Chinese?
In English.
Okay.
There we go. You just look, I unlocked something. Yeah.
Wow, I like this because I feel I'm thinking about your first gags, and I'm thinking giraffe. Giraffe. Like, yeah. My point is, like, were you testing some of this material out in the classroom? Is that what I'm hearing?
Probably inadvertently. You
Yeah.
know, probably. I was telling the kids, like, hey, have you ever noticed how people in Shanghai drive like this, but people in Beijing drive like this? Kids, am I right, kids? Am I right? I got to I've been doing this bit.
I don't know why I laughed at that. I don't understand that at all.
It's more of
but
a cackle,
it was
to
just
be frank.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was
What's a cackle?
actually a funny story is, and I've been doing this on stage because in Adelaide I'm doing a show with a couple other teacher comedians.
Yep.
And I want to develop some teacher-related material, but I got to name kids. So I got to name
Oh, that's right.
some of the kids. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And because they wanted an English
I
name,
wanted English names.
and I gave them some funny names.
Did ya?
It was a Gareth.
Gareth, that's right. Yeah.
But I was thinking, he's an 8-year-old kid, and they wanted a name starting with G because his Chinese name started with G.
Uh-huh,
So I'm
okay.
like, you're not leaving me much choice for an
Gary?
8-year-old.
Gareth.
That all. But
That's like a 50-year-old man's
that's
name.
what I mean. If you're asking me to name the grandpa,
Yeah.
don't make me choose.
Graham.
Yeah, shout out to my dad. Sums it up.
George.
He's an EME Graham, by
Let's
the way.
go through all the G names. There's
George,
nothing contemporary.
you actually hit upon George. I reckon you could get away with for a kid now.
Yeah, that's because of the
kid-
royal family thing.
Yeah, the inbred ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. Anyway, Princess Diana dying was the first time I swore in front of my parents and they didn't reprimand me.
Really? Are you saying that you never swore in front of your parents before?
No,
or
I
that
had, and they've been like, Joel. And when I was 9, my dad comes back in from the service station because we were traveling. He's like, the servo just told me Princess Di just died. And I went, shit. And I was like, and there was no blowback because a royal died, Louis. A royal died.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. If a local Indigenous person had died and you'd use that terminology.
Very good take. Very good take. I was just going to little trigger warning for any of the monarchists out there making light of Princess Diana.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm not making light of anyone dying.
No.
But, you know, it is interesting.
I'm anti-death. Are you?
I like the idea. I like it, actually.
Mm.
I mean, like, natural causes, of course.
I like a good night's sleep.
Natural causes.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about other forms or other causes, but natural
Yes.
causes.
Good clarification.
Speaking of which, I threw out my sleeping pills
Oh, yeah, I saw your story.
yesterday. And, you know, so these sleeping pills were prescribed to me because I was having trouble sleeping. This
Yeah.
doctor prescribes me these sleeping pills, and he
Yeah.
says, oh, just take a quarter of it, right?
Mm.
Now, the pill is like they're hard. They're hard pills, right? They're not like a tablet that's, you know, with the coating, like the plastic coating.
Oh.
It's a little hard pill.
Really?
And it's about this big, right?
Mm.
So, like, in order to cut this thing into a quarter,
Mm.
like, it's near impossible. Like, I don't know. So I would just, like, bite little bits of it.
Yeah.
And, like, a quarter, a half, you know, like, what's the
Yeah.
diff? Anyway, I took a whole one of these things one night, right?
Yeah.
Because I was just because I took half of it and I still can't sleep. Took another half, bang, I'm out. And I'm talking. This was Christmas, actually. This was on Christmas Day. I'm
Howdy.
howdy, sir. Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, yeah, good idea. No.
Cocaine. no, that's not a
Oh,
good
it's the
joke.
same guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout callback to 5 hours ago.
Anyway, I don't know why I'm taking this down
No,
this
no,
week.
it's interesting. I didn't know about hard pills. I didn't even know.
It's just a hard little thing. You have to bite it to cut it
But
in
you
half.
were out.
I took another half, and I was out, and I slept until I woke up at 3 p.m. on Christmas Day. Right,
Okay.
completely out of it. I'm cooked. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like it took me about 4 hours just to get out of the haze,
Yeah.
and then the sort of for another till the next day, I was feeling murky about it, and I was like, it would be so easy for me to OD on this thing.
Oh, that's why you threw him out.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Like I could actually accidentally kill myself one night if
Yeah.
I sort of maybe a sleepwalk and I
Yeah.
just go and open a thing, or I take it thinking it's a painkiller.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I just got scared. I got a bit scared about just having them in my grasp.
I'd be scared about sometimes I get really badly blocked ears, and the other 2 weeks ago, it was actually causing pain, and I was doing painkillers. I try to avoid painkillers, but I'm like, this is killing me.
Yeah.
And I was doing it every 2 hours. 2 hours, I can take more painkillers. And then after a while, I was like, wait, did I take a pain? Has it been 2 hours? Did I? And I lose track, and I'd be scared of that too. I'd be like, did I have a quarter or a half last time? You got to keep track of that too, I guess. I mean, not my wheelhouse, but